Welcome to the Preferred Walk-On Show. I'm your host, Seth Saunders, and we have an outstanding guest today. We have 1997 first-round Major League Draft pick, 15-season Major League veteran with time with the Jays, Dodgers, Phillies, and Nationals, Washington Nationals Ring of Honor member, and now the owner and founder of 2-8 Racing, Jayson Werth. Welcome to the program, brother. So we are taping one day removed from Mother's Day. It's my understanding that your mother was quite the athlete in her own right. Why don't you take a second and share the influence she had on your life and how much she means to you?
Okay, yeah, my mom, Kim Schofield, Kim Worth now, her brother was Dickie Schofield, her dad was Ducky Schofield, played 19 years in the big leagues. Her brother, Dickie Schofield, played 13 years in the big leagues, and her son, me, played, 15 years in the big leagues. So, my mom she was a long jumper. She was a sprinter, long jumper, but her career was, with some injuries. She missed the Olympics a couple of times due to injuries. But I say she was Olympic caliber sprinter and long jumper. Ran in the World Games in Russia in '78 before she had me. Prolific high school athlete, went to the University of Florida, track scholarship, and my mom. So she's an awesome lady. She was a tough mom. She made me, she taught me how to eat right and take care of, train right, take care of yourself and win. I think was the thing that she would get pissed off if when she was more mad when we lost games than we were. So it was long rides home after tough games. But she was great. She's still around, and we love her moms.
Oh, I love that, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. So you're also now 2 weeks removed from being at Churchill Downs with your horse, Flying Mohawk. I mean, brother, this is my question, okay? I feel like Churchill Downs, like the Augusta National of horse racing, right? So take us through that experience that day and kind of what it was like for you from your vantage point.
So, we got into horse racing not that long ago. It was like something kind of a hobby to do. Had no idea it was going to turn into this. Had a couple nice fillies. We got in on a horse named Dornock. We win the Belmont. And we start Icon Racing. In the process of all that, we had Netflix around that summer, and it was kind of like, I don't know, this could be cool if it works out. It'd be nice, nice to have this, this stuff cataloged and videoed. If we ever did, win a big race, chances of winning a race like that weren't very good. So when we said yes to it, we're like, if it happens, it'll be cool. If we don't win, then we'll never see it, or we won't be part of it. And then when Dornick won the Belmont, we were like, oh my God, we actually might be on that show now. So there was that aspect of it. And then, we in the process of all that, I was kind of waiting to see how that first run of horses did, with kind of the first group and Dornick. And then the next year behind that, we we're kind of waiting to see what direction we're going to do. So we didn't buy many horses. We only got into, a couple colts. Dornick was my first colt. I had a couple other colts with him. And then I got these two colts, Flying Mohawk and Insubordination. But those colts they're turf horses, man. There was never a thought that we would go to the Kentucky Derby with Dornick, let alone, Flying Mohawk, which, was basically a turf horse. I mean, it turned out to be a turf horse in the race, but you never know. I mean, you get in, you gotta take a shot. But it was an unbelievable experience, once in a lifetime. I own 50% of Flying Mohawk. For a Derby horse, that's a lot of ownership for a Derby horse. But great experience. My two other guys that own Flying Mohawk and Insubordination with me, those are the first two horses that they bought. So we've been fortunate. These guys are even more fortunate. I tell people that I'm lucky, but not nearly as lucky as Jeff Barry and Sean Coletta. They buy two horses and go to the Derby, and I at least had pieces of like 40 before I got into the Derby. But awesome experience. Look, the Kentucky Derby is the coolest thing that you could ever do. there's that golf tournament out in Tahoe this summer, the American Century Classic. That
Yeah.
thing's really cool. That's a great sporting event. I would put that as number 2, but Churchill Downs, first Saturday of May, 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. Have a horse in the race was, once in a lifetime, life changing if you win. It's not like anything else. It's, I compared winning to the Belmont last year. We won the Belmont with Dorna. I compared that to winning a World Series. Like it's that type of level. There's not many horses that do it. There's not many people that get to do it. You're running for big money. It is, it's insane, but it's, we started Icon Racing with the thought of showing the sport to new owners and getting new people in, because, I feel so strongly that this sport is one of, if not the greatest sports in the world, and anybody can be a part of it.
Yeah, take me inside Belmont last year. I mean, did you have any inkling that, hey man, we might have a shot today? And when it does happen, are you just going, holy hell, horse just won the Belmont? Like, what are the emotions when that happens? And to
Well,
take your World Series comparison, like, what were the emotions like in those two situations?
I mean, start with the Derby. When we ran in the Derby with Dornock, like, well, I thought we had the horse to win, and so when we ran 10th, it was so disappointing. This year, Flying Mohawk, it was disappointing, but we knew that was a possibility. We knew we might not like the dirt. We know, if he didn't like it, he spit the bit. The jockey's instruction was to, like, don't ruin the horse. Just take it back, take it easy. So we knew finishing last or second to last was a possibility with him. But with Dornock last year in the Kentucky Derby, we thought we could win. So we ran 10th. It was like, it was like a gut punch. Like, man, that was terrible. Like, going to the Belmont, like, he was the second to last favorite. So the industry kind of overlooked him and kind of said that was, he was done. But we were like, we still believed in him. We thought we had a chance with him. Like I told him the story. I told him a story about my career, how I had one last chance to make it, and like you're in the barn, like, grabbing onto his halter and having these conversations with him. Like, come on, man, we need you. Like, we know you're good enough. Like it was a crazy like deal. I was like, he's like one of us, we're like, when he runs, many of these horses, you feel like when they run, it feels like you're running, like it feels like you're back on the field. That's what's so great about horse racing. That's why I tell people why it's such an amazing sport for retired athletes. Cause you get the game day feelings, you get the emotions, you get those feelings that you have on game day that you have during the game and after the game. So that's what's so cool about the sport for me. But with Dornock and the Belmont, like, I mean, we thought we could win, and we knew we needed the right trip. I needed, everything's got to happen. You're in a big time sport, but he got the right trip. The favorite came running up on him and passed him down the stretch, which typically in a horse race, once that happens to the horse on the lead, they never re-rally and come back to win. So if you saw the Race for the Crown series, or you saw the America's Best Racing videos that we did do with them, that captured the moment of the Belmont, like you get to see like the sheer excitement and the like just extreme like adrenaline rushing, reality that horse racing is in those videos. And the reason why it was such an amazing, win and victory for us, and why we freaked out, because he was beat, did get past, and he did re-rally and show you that, like, the heart that it takes to like come back and like win a race like that, like it's that type of experience for all of you involved. And that horse, like, know what it takes to dig back in, and like being an athlete, like what it takes inside, the training you put into it and all the time you put into it to like even get in that situation, let alone get ran past by the favorite and then re-rally and dig in and then come back and then beat them and win the Belmont. Unbelievable. I mean, you can't even describe how cool it is. I mean, I'm getting fired up talking about it. It's like, it's the best, man. And like relive it. Like we'll always have that. And you always second guess yourself whenever you put a mic on, as a player, you put a mic on, you're like, damn, why'd I say yes to this? And in that moment, you kind of like, when the race is going on, then you totally forget that the cameras are rolling, the mic's there. Like, it's like in the dugout when somebody hits a double in the gap, and there's bases loaded and you're in the dugout, you can't do anything about it, but like scream your head off, like, come on, let's go. I mean, that's what a horse race is like. So that's what I tell people. You kind of like, there's so many parallels to it, but the Belmont was just insane. This sport is insane. These horses are amazing. I mean, I can't get enough. That's why this Icon Racing deal is such an opportunity for not only me, but for everybody to be in on the sport and go to the races and have a piece of a racehorse that potentially, could, I don't know, run in any race, but like, you could be there running that race and feel those emotions and run at the highest level and run against the big dogs, run against the sheiks, the billionaires, it's a sport of kings, but with things like My Racehorse and Icon Racing and these other syndicates, it can be a sport for everybody. And it's such an amazing, the weekends, the parties, the concerts, like it's a festival. The Churchill Downs or the Kentucky Derby, like it's a week-long festival. It starts the Saturday before the Derby and it goes all week. I mean, it's like there's nothing like it, man. It's just incredible. But I don't think the common American sports fan has any idea the opportunity that they have in horse racing.
Well, I want to talk to you about your first love. I want to talk to you about baseball a little bit. You had a decorated high school career, and coming up for the '97 draft, you get picked in the first round by the Orioles. But what I read is that you originally committed, if you're going to play college ball, to go to Georgia, go to UGA.
Yes, I see your Georgia stuff behind you. Yep.
Yeah, so
I was going to be a dog.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to hear about that recruitment and how close that decision was. I mean, I imagine, man, your first round pick, it kind of gets pretty crystal clear. But where was your head at, and how close was that to going, I think I'm going to roll the dice and play college ball and develop a little more? Or, hey, look, this is a good situation and a good shot. I got to take it.
Yeah, well, coming into my senior year of high school, I was, fairly heavily recruited. I took visits to Wichita State, which back then Wichita State was a powerhouse. University of Houston, which the time that I was there was going to be there. They went to the College World Series, so that group that was coming in was I knew those guys, and we were all like, let's go one place, and go compete. And I ended up in Georgia, but that was the thought with those guys. That was a good place to go. I went to Texas A&M for a visit and Georgia, and then I didn't take my last visit to the University of Florida, which is where my mom went to school, where I wanted to go to school. The coach canceled my visit on the night before my visit because he knew that I was going to want too much of a scholarship, so he just canceled the visit altogether. But when I went to Georgia, I got recruited by Coach Perno, David Perno, the living legend, and we became pretty good friends during the process. And he offered me a full scholarship to come to the University of Georgia, and I fell in love with Georgia. I saw myself there. I was probably a top 10 pick going into my senior season. I grew a bunch, and I had an unbelievable senior season. I think I hit like I can somehow find
650.
It was like I think it was 617, but it was that was impressive. But it was the home runs, the RBIs, the runs scored, the stolen bases, the on base percentage, all the other stuff that was probably better than the 617 batting average. That got me ultimately drafted in the first round with the Orioles. Pat Gillick came to see me play a couple of times. The rumor was that I hit a 500-foot home run when Pat Gillick was there to see me. I don't know if anyone ever measured it, but it was a good one. I was like, it's right up there with some of my best home runs. Given it was a 3-run homer to put us ahead. All the scouts in the world was there. It was like that was kind of my moment as an amateur that solidified me as a legit first rounder. Potential. Basically what I became, like a person that could be that person. So that was that kind of that situation that I was in with the pros, and I got the first round, and it really wasn't a decision for me. I mean, I was a good student. I wanted to go to the University of Georgia. I was, I had aspirations of being there, but when I signed with there, I didn't really think I was a first round pick. I was a top 10 pick, maybe for first 10 rounds. which is good. I mean, coming out of high school, that's that's something you can hang your hat on. You can get a good scholarship on that. But I morphed into this 6'5", prospect that really wasn't slated to go to college. So it was an easy decision for me to head to pro ball, even as a
You have,
young 18-year-old amateur.
you have any specific memories of your Georgia recruitment? Any specific memories of Athens? Anything that stuck out to you that you kind of fell in love with?
Who's the football coach there right now?
Coach Smart, Kirby Smart. Yeah, I was gonna say he was there playing when you were getting recruited.
All right, so Rick was there when I got so I don't have many memories of the recruiting process. I hung out, I fell in love too with Athens, and went to a football game. It was like, this is incredible. This is where I want to be. But I didn't end up going there. But I did stop by almost every spring on my way to spring training, and like got outside, hung out with Coach Perno, met some of the guys that I would have been there with, and did some practicing, and just I I felt this attachment to the University of Georgia because I was I signed there, but obviously it didn't work out. But I was always swinging through town on my way down to Florida, and it was my last. So I did it. I don't know. I probably did it 5 or 6 springs. Maybe didn't do it one, but came back, and then it was 2004, and I was like kind of on the bubble with making the big leagues or not. So I came through town. And I was thinking, man, if the Blue Jays don't keep me in the big leagues, I'm out of options. So I'd have to, they'd have to trade me or send me down to the minor leagues, which, most guys that get sent down to the minor leagues when they run out of options, that's kind of like the kiss of death. There's not many good opportunities for you. You gotta, you're kind of in the dead zone. So I was like, this is kind of it. He's like, well, what happens if you don't make it? I was like, I guess I'll be coming back here to University of Georgia and maybe play some football or something. And he's like, what's your 40? I was like, I don't know. We don't run 40s. We run 60s. And he's like, let's get out there and see where you're at. I was like, all right. So I met him on the turf, and there was some football guys out there practicing or whatever. And we set up cones that he's like, let's get see if we can't get a 40-60 split. And the coach at the time, Rick, he was there talking to those football guys, and Perno introduced him to me, and he's like, just talk to him in case, you're serious about this, whole thing. And I was just talking to him. I was like, yeah, I mean, I've never played football, but I mean, I'm a good athlete. I can do anything, in my mind. I'm like, I can do anything. And he's like, all right, well, I'll get your 40 time, so I ended up running the 40-60. I ran like a 4.3 flat 40 and like a 6.2 360. My mom was an Olympic sprinter. Now I could move. Well, I turned around. Perno was like, damn. And we turned around to get the 40 time. And Rick left the watch on the line and got in his car and called Perno. He's like, I don't know who that dude is, but I don't want this to be an illegal workout. If he's serious, tell him to call me. But that was my last time I went to I went down to Georgia to hang out, to work out. And then, I don't know, 15 years later, it's like 20 years later, here we are. But 15 years later, I retired from, a big, long times in MLB, and never had to go back and try out for a college football team. Thank God.
Well, things obviously worked out just fine, Jason, but I will say selfishly as a Georgia fan, I'm now a little bit upset that the Blue Jays kept you. We could have used you in those years.
That would have been an interesting route for sure. But my biological dad, he played college football, and I never got into it because I just I was so gung ho on baseball and basketball that I just you play 100 games in the summer and then going to 2-a-days in the fall with the high school team and the coach yelling at you. It was never my thing. It was one of my 2 German short-haired pointers. These guys are.
Oh yeah. Well, always welcome a good boy on the show. That's always welcome. Well, I want to ask this. I'm interested in your journey. I know probably everybody asks you about games and all those type things, but this is the question I'm always interested in with athletes is you spent your whole life being a ball player and honing that craft. And then, man, you got to play it a lot longer than most people did, right? You played till you're almost 40. And so what is that transition like? And I'm sure the horse racing plays into this, but the question I generally ask is, What was the identity shift like that? Because you go your whole life and it's, hey man, I'm Jason. I play ball, and then it's gone. And so, what is that transition like? Did you have to grieve that, and how did that kind of help with the shift to trying to find something new, trying to find something like horse racing to throw your passion and effort into?
I mean, I would say that. So my last year, I went back. I played with Seattle in the minor leagues. I didn't get a job. Um, coming in spring training. I mean, there was maybe some opportunities, but not good ones. But I was like, I want to get playing. I want to go. So I got with Seattle and went to extended spring. Like April 1st is when I kind of started. So I started late, got going. And the day that when I was up in AAA and finally got going, I started heating up and getting back into form. And they're like, all right, like everything's looking good. We're gonna bring you up with the club after your next road trip. You're going to go to Nashville and Memphis. Uh, you know, we'll get you up there. And I think it was the first night in Nashville. I popped my hamstring on a ball down the line, running down the line left, and like, that was my first real hamstring issue of my whole life, really. And and then that was like, I'm done. I was like, everybody on the field, was like, I just went straight to the training room. Like, guys were like running over, like shaking my hand, being like, because they knew that was it, like, and and I didn't have any regrets. I'm like, I'm 39 years old. I'm not going to sit around here and then, try to do this next year. So my kids are growing up. I walked away from the game. No one told me that I didn't get released. I didn't get sent home. I did it on my own accord a little bit. And I didn't have really any regrets. So it was, it was nice for me. I was kind of over it. It was like, you do all it's fun to travel and play and all that, but it's, your body can only do so much, and take take the pounding. I really didn't want to be a bench player. I wanted to play. I wanted to be an everyday guy, and as long as I could, I could probably platoon a little bit if I wanted to. If I was going to keep playing that last year or whatever, like play against lefties, maybe move into a DH role or something like that, maybe. But like as a sitting playing in the National League and coming off the bench or something like that, that really wasn't anything I wanted to do. So I walked away feeling all right about it. I started playing, like I played some tennis when I got done to try to stay active. Um, and then, when COVID hit, you couldn't touch the tennis balls for some reason. And I started playing golf, and I stopped playing tennis. Tennis was a little too much anyways, but the golf deal, I like the golf deal. And that's how I got it. I met some guys that own horses, and I wasn't really looking for anything, but I got into horse racing. I was like, this is cool. Like, that's cool. You guys own horses. Like, how do you do that? Just interested in, like, oh, I'll take a leg or something. If you ever get a horse and then I went to the race, and then like I go in the paddock, and the jockeys, the trainers there, the horses come in, the other owners, you kind of feel this kind of like, all right, there's about to be a race, like, all right, like I get it. Like, we're gonna compete. And then like, the jockeys come in, like, all right, here comes the jockeys, like these little dudes, and they got the helmets on, and like, all right, and the trainers, the jockeys are talking, the horse is there, and you're kind of listening, and you're like, it's like a little huddle, you're like, all right, like we got a plan. Like, and then they go riders up, and you're like, shit, I'm nervous, like what is happening? And then those dudes, like, they get in the gate and they take off, and you're like, all right, like, let's go, And when they come around the turn, like, you're screaming, you're like, get up, you're back on the field, and like everything, like full emotion. I mentioned that when the guys hit the ball with the bases loaded, the dugout, that's like, it takes you 10 seconds to get around the bases. Dude, a horse race is 2 minutes. Like, it's 2 minutes of just, you're like coming out of your skin. Right. And like, that's when I was like, damn, I miss competing. Like, I miss the game day emotions. I did it every year. You almost forget that was a part of you. So like it brought me back alive, and like, and when I bring people to races and they get so fired up for these, it's so cool to see. I'm like, right? And they're like, yeah. And like, that's the part of the sport that like people don't get, and you don't get it unless you own the horse. Like, betting on the horse, you get it. You get that excitement, but when you lose, you're just pissed, like when you lose a race in the horse racing, you're like, all right, like it's almost like when you play, you're like, all right, you're like, how did we mess that up? Like, why did we lose? So you go back and you watch film, with horse racing, you go back and they scope the horse. Did he bleed? Does he got, is something wrong with him? Is he injured? Does he just suck? Like, is he in the wrong type of race? We got to, how did we come out of the race? Like, there's so much more to it. Like, all right, like, then how does he train next time out? When does he get going? So let's get him going in the right direction. And so you follow these dudes and they become part of your team. You're part of your life. You get up in the morning, you're like, you check workouts, and it becomes just like, a sport, like you can like become part of something again. And it fills this void so well for, anybody, anybody that competed ever, like even in high school or whatever you did, or, like businessmen, like they get off by having like big deals, they get like, that's what gets them fired up. They come to the racetrack and they're like, damn, this is so cool. So that's kind of like, I wouldn't say I was looking for something. I would say horse racing found me more than I found horse racing, because I wasn't looking. And when you don't remember, you don't realize what you had sometimes or what you did sometimes, and you need like a reminder to like remind you, like, who you really are, and that's competition is just in my blood, like I'm built to compete. So I mean, I love the sport, man. It's just it's been something really to kind of like bridge the gap from baseball into the afterlife, as I call it. It's like anything though. It's a sport. Like it's not all gravy, it'll eat you up and spit you out. So it's another way to, compete, and you're not guaranteed to win. There's like, it's like, now you compare it a little bit to like owning a sports franchise. These horses are kind of like their own little franchises, and they it's a business. So they gotta make money, and not all of them make money, so you got to figure out how to bide the time while you wait for your next one to hit a big purse.
All right, I got two more quick questions for you. First one being, you have a famous Canadian doppelganger, and I heard, and I need to know, true or false, when you used to register in hotels on the road, occasionally you would register as Adam Copeland. Please tell me this is true.
Oh, it's so true. And
Oh God, I love that.
I've never met this dude. I would love to. My mom like found out about this some like later on, she's like, what is this? Who is this? I'm like, Mom, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure that I'm, your only son? She's like, oh my God, Jason, it looks just like. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's crazy. So I did, I would, my aliases at hotels would only last as long as my hitting streak. So I would change them up. If I went sour, I went to slub. It was never my fault. It was always something around me, my alias name, or my route to the stadium, or, something to, it couldn't be me that's in the slump. It's just something else.
That's right.
Yeah. Adam Copeland, the Edge. That was, I would giggle every time people would say, good to see you again, Mr. Copeland, or welcome.
Oh, that's fantastic. Long time wrestling fan, so I find so much humor in that. That's outstanding.
He's aware of it too. Like we have like mutual friends around, different things, and I want to say his manager played golf at one of the clubs I'm a member at, and he was like, we were talking about it, and I think we even called him. He didn't answer, but yeah, it's one of the people on my list of people to meet one day.
I mean, it's uncanny, brother. Uncanny.
There are some pictures where you're like, wow, that's amazing. And I mostly get recognized as the Edge. Are you the Edge? That's the best part.
Oh yeah, no, I was an All-Star World Series winner, 15-year big league.
Depending on who it is and asking, I'm like, close, and I'll like pull up a picture of me and him. I'm like, it's not the same person.
Oh, that's a story. I do think you missed out if you didn't do this. Maybe I'm just not aware, but I think it would have been outstanding if for a full game you would have gone Edge entrance music for your walk up. You think you know me?
I never
put it on.
I don't watch many other sports. I watch football. That's about it. I never got into wrestling. I did go see Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant when I was like 8 years old. But
oh, hey, that's good enough. That's good enough.
That was
All right.
yeah, qualifies.
Last question. I know he is one of the characters of all characters. I would love it if you would give me your favorite Charlie Manuel story
My favorite.
or funniest or whatever.
My favorite that I can actually say
Yes, that you
publicly.
could say. Yeah, publicly. That's right. That won't get you in trouble.
So me and Charlie. So I got the Philly in 07. I was the GM's guy. Pat Gillick, who drafted me, brought me to Philly. You know, he brings me in. Charlie was this guy. He's the type of guy that no one's going to tell him what to do. It's going to be his way. You don't like it, you know, old school as can be. And so here I come. I haven't, you know, I didn't play in 06, didn't play great in 05. You know, injured three years. You know, this injury, you know, my wrist injury almost cost my career. But coming off that, he wasn't real sure about me. I wasn't Charlie's guy. You know, I wasn't one of his guys. So we would have these we'd have these back and forths, and you know, he would always. Most managers put you in a situation to succeed, right? Charlie would put me in situations to fail. Like that's just what he did. He thought it was funny. You know, you think, oh, you know, that's just how he was. And I mean, I hated him for it. You know, I come in, and I knew what he was doing to me. I felt it. I felt like he didn't like me. I go in his office. We would just sit there and scream at each other, and like we didn't like each other at first, you know, and it really, and honestly, I flipped my highlight tape from the Dodgers on his desk one day. And I said, look, I was like, I finally got it from LA. They sent it to me. I was like, hey, this is my 04 highlight tape from LA, because I was, you know, I was a monster in 04. And I said, you can watch it or not. At this point, I don't even fucking care. You know, I was just like, just here. And he watches it, you know, and he comes back to me. He's like, hey, I remember you now. Hey, boy, I remember you now. I was like, it's like June, dude. You know. And I'm like, this is such bullshit. So I end up winning Charlie over and become Charlie's guy. And you know, if I call Charlie right now, he'd pick up. Like Charlie, like I love Charlie. What he did for me, you know, put me in those situations to fail, and like, you know, sticking a shoe in my ass the right way that I needed it, like that nobody else would. Like he made me the player, but he gave me the opportunity to do it too. You know, like it took two guys getting hurt. I had to prove myself over and over and over to him. But I mean, he made me tough, you know. And in spring training in 2010, I didn't sign the Phillies. You know, Ruben Mari tried to get me to sign some bullshit hometown discount, and like, and you know, I went in to kind of talk to Charlie at the beginning of spring training. He's like, hey Jake, like, how you feel? And I was like, I feel good, Charlie. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. He's like, good, because if you would have signed some bullshit hometown discount, I'd never talk to you again. And I was like, I know. And he's like, you should feel good. He's like, feel like you've done some things, you know, and like kind of like, you know, he's always like talking down to you a little bit, you know. He's like, yeah, boy, it feels like you've done some things. Like, yeah, like you feel like you got the hammer. I was like, yeah, I feel like I got the hammer. And he's like, good. When they give you the hammer, you make sure you use it.
So that's fantastic.
I use that line all the time. Like, we got the hammer. We got the hammer. You know, it's like everybody knows that story. Everybody knows what it means to have the hammer. Like, you make sure you use it. When you get the hammer, you make sure you use it, boy. Like, I mean, it was like I walked out of the office. I felt like I was King Kong. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
of all the shit I had to deal with him, like breaking me down, telling me I wasn't good enough. I couldn't hit righties, and finally, proving to I am the man. I can hit righties. I am your right fielder. You know, I do hit in the middle of your lineup. Like I do hit behind Ryan Howard. Like, you know, like I am the fucking man. You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, yeah, you're the fucking. Basically, he's like, you're the fucking man. You got the hammer. Use it. And like, I mean, I'm out there had a bang up, 2010 season, and I go sign the ninth biggest deal in MLB history. But like, I wouldn't have done any of that shit without Charlie Manuel. You know, like he was the right guy for me. He was the man that he's the man that made me. My nickname was J-Dub. He made J-Dub. You know, like he was the guy that gave me the opportunity and pushed me to be better, pushed me to be that player, and then ultimately, give me one of the best pep talks I've ever been given in my life. And to this day, everyone knows around me. When I say we got the hammer, that means we're going to use it. Like, let's go. So that was that's one of my better Charlie Mantle stories. I've got some good ones. I got some really good ones. But he was fantastic manager. He was the right manager for that team. He was the right manager for that city at that time. Like, and he had to earn it. Like, they were trying to run him out of town, that whole time in 2007 until basically I came in August 1st when Shane Victorino and Michael Bourne both got hurt on the deadline, and I was the only guy that they could get. I couldn't make a trade before midnight to get a big name outfielder in there, and so they gave me the reins a little bit to on a short leash to see what I could do, and I ended up hitting like 415 in August in 2007, and we start gaining momentum. We start getting hot, and I was, it wasn't just me, but I was a catalyst of that run in 2007 for sure. And that was literally, Pat Gillick told me that was my last opportunity in baseball. So between Pat Gillick and Charlie Mantle, I had two people that, one believed in me, one had to believe in me. And I was given one opportunity, one little opportunity, to my last chance after injury. I was a little bit older. So it was a lot like Dornock's opportunity for the Belmont. And I gave him the same speech that day going up. Like, this is your last chance in horse racing. The same thing Pat Gillick told me, and like, bang him on his nose. He's a big bad dude. He'll rip your fingers off. So I was like, let's go, dude. So I see a lot of parallels between baseball and horse racing, and it's yeah, man. So those are some of my stories.
Well, Jayson, I love the passion. I love the fire, man. I've loved chatting with you. Love your story. Please tell our listeners how they can support you.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're interested in getting in on horse racing, there's a few ways. iconracing.com. We're not for everybody. I send people that don't have that type of money to invest to myracehorse.com, which is another way that you can get in at a lower level. Depends, what you can afford. There's multiple ways to kind of skin the cat, but for us, Icon Racing, LFG on our socials. You can watch me and Sean Kelly's podcast, Off the Rail. We are completely off the rail most of the time, so it's entertaining, and it's a lot of satire. So, and a clubhouse banter. That's not for everybody either, but it is. It can be entertaining. And you can see us up out at some of the racetracks. Don't be a stranger. Come say hello and find out how you get involved.
Well, Jayson, thank you for the time. If anybody has listened to this and aren't a fan of yours after listening to this, I don't really know what to say to them. I don't know how to help them, brother. So we appreciate the time, man, and we'll certainly be rooting for you and rooting for Flying Mohawk moving forward, okay?
All right, Seth. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you.
All right, brother. Thank you.
See ya.